Hey everybody, welcome to Go for Green Living. And yes, can you believe it? I have an exciting video. It happened last night. Yes, I have a really exciting video. And I was outside, and well, I wasn't outside, but I was looking outside through my screen door when these events happened. And I got more details for you, but first, let's go find out from Brad from Full Spectrum Survival what he saw and heard.
One of the most important things that you're going to see as a country moves through a pandemic or biological crisis into an economic event, and then following that with war and conflict, is an increase in military activity. That's what I believe that we started to see last night, or it was part of a larger operation. Late into the night last night, I was laying in bed and we were watching a show on YouTube, me and my family, and the bed started to shake. Knew exactly what it was because I could start to hear the low thump of the shock waves hitting the house. Went outside and saw a low flyover. Okay, that happens. We live not too far from a major military base. Went back inside. Another 5 minutes, it happened again. Then it happened again, and we started to see local reports. I have a police officer friend who contacted me, and they said that they were getting calls over and over again about what was happening. They weren't sure. They didn't get any alert from the military to know that there was a local event taking place. They didn't know what was going on, and just that we were starting to see an increase in activity in either a military routine drill, a preparedness drill, or something else was happening. Now, we woke up this morning to news that the United States is moving troops into Europe in preparation for a Russian and Ukraine conflict. We are getting closer to that worldwide event. You know, I had a person on a recent video say, Brad, do you think a world war is really going to break out just because Russia invades or goes to war with Ukraine? And if you look back, World War I, very small but mounting events led up to that crisis. World War II, small but mounting events led up to that crisis. And right now, they each followed a pattern, didn't they? And that pattern is usually economy and war. Pandemic, economy, and war. And that's where we're at right now. We're going through a pandemic or a biological crisis. We're moving through an economic collapse, and we are going to go to war. So one way or another, the militaries of the world are getting ready, and we started to see a little bit of that, I believe, last night. They are preparing for that inevitable conflict to take place. I appreciate you asking me on here, and if you guys have any questions, just ask Daniel and he'll send them over to me.
Now that it sounds very similar to, except a few things. First off, let me say to this, we already have bombers. I have an inside person in Norway. It's got the inside track on what's going on, but we have bombers in Norway right now through the, the coalition, whatever, the world organization. They're over there right now. So we don't know exactly what's going on over there, but they're there. And there's a bunch more people over there. Now, what happened last night? Okay, last night I'm talking to Root, and I have light sensitive eyes, so I had the lights off, and I was just sitting there enjoying. It was just getting pitch black dark. Your eyes will acclimate, and you can see very well once if you don't have any light on. And but anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm looking outside. It's a beautiful spring day. And I got the screen door, the screen door is closed, but the door is wide open, and I'm looking outside. All right, now I just hear, it sounds like a jake brake for a tractor trailer, but all of a sudden I see the tops of the trees start glowing. I said, oh, there's a car coming down the dirt road. No, it wasn't a car coming down the dirt road. It was this green triangle. I mean, it wasn't green. It had green lights. But it looked metallic, metal on the bottom, like a flat surface on the bottom. I couldn't see the top or any dimensions on the top. All I saw was the green bottom, and it was flat. And it was big. It was big, huge. And it made that noise like a, like another incident happened to me before with this, but I'll get to that at the end. But then, okay, it was so close to the trees, you know, it just kind of like was skimming the top of the trees. And this is a huge thing, and I'm like, wow, look at this big old huge thing. It wasn't quick enough for me to get I didn't have enough time to get my camera and get it on focus and all that, because it's so close to the trees. This went from one tree to the other tree to out of view. I mean, that's just, if you were going to move something big like that, that's the way you do it. You move it right on top of the trees, so they can't have time to focus and get cameras on it. So, you know, that could be it too. You know, it could have been a military escort for an experimental piece of equipment or something, or the military was escorting the UFO. But anyway, so the UFO came over, and it went over, and I was like, oh, yeah, that was weird. I wonder what that was. So I'm sitting there thinking, and all of a sudden I hear what Brad was talking about, the low thunder of the helicopters coming. Now, there were 6 Apache helicopters. They came in formation, and oh my goodness, that formation was so beautiful, and they were right on top of the trees too. Now, I don't know what happened, but they flew over and they shook everybody's house, and they were real low to the trees. And then, like Brad said, they came back, but they only came back in 2s. So they must have done some kind of formation thing out there, but they were only coming back in 2s. And you could see them come back. And I was sitting there physically watching them, and almost could physically see the person in the helicopter because they were so low right in front. There was 2 of them, perfect formation. One right in front, one right behind. Every move that the one made, the other one was right behind. It was amazing. And they flew by 4 times. Okay, then after they flew by 4 times, it rocked everybody's house, you know, and they were cruising through here, you know. So it could have been a military exercise, or they could have been surveying for moving this big piece of equipment to make sure there's no danger in front, you know, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't put anything past anybody doing that. But then, because immediately after them, then that's when the DC-10, you know, the tank mover, it flew over, and it looked similar on the bottom, but it had actual light bulbs that made it look green, and it looked like a triangle, but it was the DC-10. You could hear the motors, you know, the propeller motors of it working. But it was hugging the trees too. So whatever they were doing, it was hugging the trees. And so anyway, that's it. That's what I saw last night. But there was one other helicopter, and these Apache helicopters had a green light on the front, a red light on the tail, and that's how I knew, you know, the 2 in their formation and all that, you know, because it was dark, you know, it's hard to see. But then later on, a helicopter flew over, and it had a solid red light on it, and it had 2 red lights on it. So I didn't know what kind of helicopter that is. If any of y'all know of any exercises were happening or anything last night, please let us know. I'll post it in the comments. But now this morning, a friend of mine who wouldn't be on camera, I'm sorry, she was down there and saw 7 black SUVs at the courthouse. So there you go. something. We don't know. But anyway, a long time ago, I told you I would tell you about this. A long time ago, my other experience with sounding like a Jake break. I was walking across this yard. I was heading to the greenhouse. It was a brisk, fresh, chilly day. I was heading to the greenhouse to heat it up. But as I walked across the yard, I heard that Jake break sound. This time it was very loud, and it actually felt like there was pressure on it. And as I was walking, I was like, you know, I was like dodging this, and it actually had pushed me on the ground, on my face, you know, as it went over. And I looked up there, and all I saw was just the stars kind of like making this curving you know, to make this curvature of the stars, and just felt like kind of like that Avenger thing with they did the shielding thing, and kind of like that. But that was a long time ago. That was about 10 years ago. All right, guys. I love you, and I'll catch you on the next video. Oni Ohav Atim means I love you in Hebrew. Later, guys.